Migrant crisis in Chicago nearing a turning point. Mayor Brandon Johnson has a plan for the more than 1,500 migrants sleeping on the floor inside of Chicago police stations.
Yeah, the mayor says this. Several sites have been identified throughout Chicago as potential tent cities, which would be winterized before it gets cold. Now, today, Johnson was pressed for locations for his proposed tent cities. He declined to offer specific details, pointing instead to the humanitarian crisis, while Senator Dick Durbin called out Texas Governor Greg Abbott for treating the asylum seekers as political pawns.
Since taking office, we've had more buses arrive in the city of Chicago than all combined from last year. 12 more shelters, 13 more shelters, and growing. As this becomes what is obviously very much a humanitarian endeavor.
We are in this conversation today because at least one governor of one state has decided to ship human beings to make a political point.
Now, we're going to have more on the migrant crisis later in the hour with Alderman Andre Vasquez.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I got an update for you guys out of Chicago. You know, the city that we're not supposed to talk about, right? Woke Mayor Brandon Johnson said, if you ain't from Chicago, don't talk about us, okay? Because his city is an absolute disaster when it comes to crime and violence and agents of chaos, young scholars destroying the city. What's also destroying the city is the illegal immigrants that have been welcomed into the city by woke Mayor Brandon Johnson after a bunch of black people got together and voted for him to become mayor, even though he told them outright that he is pro-illegal immigration, he's pro-sanctuary city, and that black people are going to have to share their resources with illegals if he's elected mayor. Black people lined up and voted for him anyways because he's black, right? And they got what they voted for, right? They got the illegal immigration crisis at their doorstep in Chicago. And now black people seem to be the most upset in Chicago because they have to share a space, share their resources, give their money, literally give their money away, their taxpayer money, to illegal immigrants. $30 million a month, to be exact, that woke Mayor Brandon Johnson is spending on housing illegals and taking care of them, and he now wants to build what he calls tent cities in some of these people's neighborhoods to house migrants over the winter, because we know in Chicago it gets very, very, very cold, and the residents of Chicago are lashing out and raging at Brandon Johnson for this plan to build what they call a tent city to house migrants for the winter. Take a look.
An incredibly serious topic. The headlines haven't changed. Helpless migrants are flooding border entry points with no end in sight. Open-armed sanctuary cities such as New York are suddenly having a change of heart. That vacancy light is starting to go dark. Chicago is now in the spotlight. The city has 16 open shelters with more than 13,000 migrants, more arriving each day. It's estimated that the crisis is costing the city $30 million per month. And now Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson has come up with what he thinks is a novel idea. He's asked all 50 of the city's council members to identify a 2-acre space in their ward to build tent cities to house the migrants. The mayor says that these tents will be equipped with heating and cooling and beds and food and hall and water hookups to house around 200 migrants each. But you do remember that we're talking about Chicago, right? So summer is almost over. Fall is in the air and winter isn't very far. Have you seen Chicago in the winter? The city set a new record in 2019, minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's the mayor's plan, to put migrants in tents and negative temperatures. I mean, what happens if someone gets hurt?
How can you come into a community and dump people in our community like this? This is not fair.
The city's pressing migrant crisis in the spotlight now more than ever, and Southside residents are fired up over plans to put up tents. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Scott Schneider.
And I'm Dawn Hasbrook. Tonight, a meeting on the issue was filled to capacity, and many community members are frustrated that they were not let in. Casey Crona is live in Roseland with the latest. Casey.
Don and Scott community members want to make their voices heard on this subject, and tonight many weren't able to. On the table is a proposal from Mayor Brandon Johnson that would place hundreds of migrants in makeshift camps in a former Jewel parking lot. At Sheldon Heights Church of Christ, an open dialogue on the migrant crisis hosted by Alderman Ronnie Mosley was packed inside and out.
First of all, they definitely chose this venue for a reason. They chose a small venue so that they could discourage the community from being able to show up.
With fall and winter fast approaching, Mayor Brandon Johnson is looking to move migrants from police stations into what the city is calling winterized base camps.
This is essentially like a Band-Aid to a gunshot wound. You are putting a Band-Aid on a huge problem at hand.
One potential site, the former Jewel parking lot at 115th and Halstead.
I think that's a bad idea.
They want to push this out of sight and out of mind.
But it's coming with pushback, many calling on the city's leaders to focus on the needs of taxpayers.
We are the residents of this community, and we demand that they do not put these people here. They're not even following the rules in the police station. What makes us think that they're going to follow the rules here?
Residents tell us they are in need of grocery stores, mental health facilities, and housing for homeless individuals. By the end of this year, the migrant crisis will have cost taxpayers $250 million. Reporting live in Roseland, Casey Cronis, Fox 32, Chicago.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. $250 million. Okay, now New York City, allegedly, it's going to cost them $12 billion. Okay. I'm just saying, regardless, these numbers are ridiculous, right? It seems to me to be cheaper to just, send them back, right? Again, these cities want to do everything except buy them a one-way plane ticket on Avianca or Latin Airlines back to wherever they want to go in South America, right? I mean, I'm just saying, okay? You can fly them anywhere, right, except here, okay? I'm just saying. They don't want to do that, okay? You don't have to put them back to Venezuela, right? Maybe fly them to Colombia, Panama, Mexico, Costa Rica, okay? Anywhere except here. But, that's not what they're doing. They're choosing to take care of them. And now every economic argument that the left used to make about how illegal immigration is a net positive, right? They're a net benefit on the economy. They don't strain social safety nets. They don't take up resources. It's all bunk. It's all bunk. I'm just saying, in 2024, we don't see a surge of Trump supporters. Just like we should see Make America Great Again hats everywhere in Chicago, right? I mean, I'm just saying, a Juicy Smollett story, okay, about MAGA hat wearing black folks running around late at night will actually become believable, okay? Because there should be a lot of MAGA hat wearing folks in Chicago after this, okay? There's a lot of people that sound very, very, very bigoted when they are speaking about the immigration crisis. They're talking about close the border, right? Send them back, right? Build a wall. These are all things that you're hearing from people who didn't believe that fire burned until they got burnt, right? So with that being said, I think the real crisis here, guys, is that you did not see the same sense of urgency that these mayors have when it comes to taking care of these illegals, when it comes to taking care of the homeless, right? Actual Americans, like providing them with shelter, heating, water, food, give them a place to live, healthcare, right? Like, they're doing that all on taxpayer dime, but for people who are not Americans. But they refuse to do it for people who are Americans, who are homeless, who do need the help, who we do need to get off the streets, right? They won't do it for them. They will only do it for people who are not Americans. Again, if this is not America last, I don't know what else is America last, okay? They're literally showing you, hey, we will spend the money that you've been begging us to spend on you. We'll spend it on people who are not from here, who are not even citizens of this country, before we spend it on you. And you have to foot the bill, right? You got to foot the bill as a taxpayer. $30 million a month to be exact. Now, I want you guys to understand how crazy that is, right? Think about this. Quick math here. $30 million a month. 13,500 migrants. That is $26,000 a year per migrant that the city of Chicago is spending to house and take care of them, right? So a family of 4, you're talking about $100,000 right there of taxpayer resources going towards one family. Now imagine what that type of money could do for the hood, right? Imagine what that type of money could do to fund police, okay? To put more officers on the street, to put more of these resources that these people are begging for in the community, to clean up crime, to get criminals off the street. Imagine what spending this money could do to actually solve the real problems. Because if you go spend it, then, you know, you should spend it on the people, right? But they don't do that. They want to spend it on illegals. Again, it's insane. It really is. And again, one of the worst parts about it is that these people are telling their elected officials, we don't want this, right? But their elected officials are doing it anyways. And then these same elected officials will turn around and scream about democracy, right? How they love democracy so much. And I keep trying to tell people the democracy nonsense from the Democrats is a farce, right? That's what it is. It's a farce. It's just a talking point. They don't actually really like democracy. They hate democracy, okay? They hate anybody who disagrees with them. Anybody that disagrees with them, they don't like it. They hate it. And they're going to do what they want to do anyways. They don't care about what you have to say. If you disagree with them, you're a bigot, right? Even if you're black, you're still a bigot if you disagree with them, right? You're the black face of white supremacy for not allowing illegals to take over your neighborhood, right? That's kind of how this goes. I'm just saying, we should see a lot of black faces of white supremacy come 2024, right? We need to see a lot of MAGA hat wearing black people come 2024. That's if we lived in the same country where people actually voted with their common sense and rationality. However, that's not the case. So they'll turn around and vote for it again. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.